The jury gasps. The courtroom falls silent, the only sound the reverberation of the gavel cracking down. Kody Brown, the formerly proud patriarch of Sister Wives, sits in stunned silence, his eyes scanning face after face. What went down in that courtroom is not simply a verdict, it's a shockwave that will tear through his entire family. Betrayals are revealed, tears fall, and allegiances are broken. And what happens next? Nobody saw it coming. Before we jump into the drama, let me ask you this. If the Brown family were in front of a jury, who would be the first to turn on Kody? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because tonight's tale is going to transform the way you look at Sister Wives forever. Two heavy wooden doors swing wide. The courthouse in Flagstaff, Arizona, isn't accustomed to this level of fanfare. Camera crews set up camp outside, microphones quivering in the air, and rumors circulate through the corridors. The Browns have arrived. Within the courtroom, a peculiar tension hangs, the sort of quiet that you notice as you become aware of your own respirations. Kody steps in first. His hair is slicked down, but his face is lined with the creases of sleepless nights. Robyn is standing behind him, clinging to his arm, her mascara already beginning to smudge. Christine, sitting on the other bench, doesn't even glance in their direction. Her jaw is clenched, her back straight, her eyes staring straight ahead, like she's been waiting for this day her entire life. The bailiff calls for order. A juror sneezes, and everyone jumps a little. That's how tightly strung the room is. And then it begins. The prosecutor rises. His tone is even, but every sentence slices like glass. Members of the jury, this case is not a tale of love and faith, but of betrayal, financial dishonesty and manipulation in one of America's most renowned clans. At the middle of it all, Kody Brown. Robyn tightens Kody's hand. In the distance, Janelle leans over and says something to Christine, and they both nod in agreement. Meri sits back, arms crossed, eyes cast down, as if she has no idea whose side she is on. The actual question is, when family loyalties are put on trial, who stands together, and who chooses to burn the bridges forever? The first witness is summoned. Christine, she stands up, adjusting her jacket. The room is silent, while she proceeds to the stand. Kody, she starts, shaking, guaranteed us stability. He guaranteed us unity. But what went on behind the scenes? There were lies, there were backroom deals, and when it all came out, it wasn't only our marriages that fell apart, it was our trust, our money, our lives. Kody fidgets uncomfortably, glaring daggers at her. That is not true. He explodes, but the judge cuts him off. Christine gazes directly at the jury. I was married to him for more than 25 years. I know the man better than anybody in this room. And I can tell you, this wasn't all about love. It was about money and control. What Christine is about to say causes the jurors to lean forward in astonishment. She uncovers financial records, accounts concealed under various LLC names, properties moved secretly without the other wives being told, and expenses that somehow always landed on everyone but Kody and Robyn. The documents smacked onto the evidence table with a loud thud, resonating throughout the courtroom. The prosecutor inquires, Mrs. Brown, when did you find this out? Christine takes a hard swallow. When I knew my children's future hung in the balance. When I knew we were being manipulated. Gasps spread through the crowd. Reporters write frantically. Kody pounds his fist on the table. She's lying. She's bitter because she left me. But the damage is already done. Christine's words hang suspended. It's in this moment you sense the tide shifting, not only in the case, but in the whole Brown family dynamic. Outside the courtroom, cameras blink, social media erupts with hashtags, #BrownTrial, #Kody exposed, #Sister Wives verdict. Millions are watching, wondering if the man who once professed unity will now be judged by the very people he professed to protect. Within, the tension thickens. Christine takes a step back, and the judge requests a recess. Kody bursts out, grumbling to himself, followed by Robyn lagging behind, visibly trembling. Janelle remains in her seat, scanning through her own pile of documents. Her lips twist into something between resolve and sorrow. Next is her turn. And this is where the story gets even darker, because Janelle's testimony won't just confront Kody's finances. It will expose a betrayal that no one, not even Christine, could see coming. The recess is over, and the courtroom begins to fill again, buzzing like a hive of irate bees. But this time, All eyes aren't on Christine anymore. They're on Janelle Brown, calm, collected. But with that telltale glint in her eye, that long-time viewers of Sister Wives recognize all too well. The bailiff addresses her name, and as she crosses to the stand, something in the atmosphere changes. In contrast to Christine's shaking emotion, Janelle exudes a chilling calm, the sort that makes an opponent of even the most confident person nervous. She takes the oath, sets her hand down, and as she glances at the jury, there's no faltering. Everyone assumes I was the quiet wife, the peacemaker, the one who made everything work while everyone else brawled. But what I witnessed behind closed doors, what I know of Kody's secrets, that's what's going to rock everyone's world today. Gasps spread throughout the room. Kody freezes, his expression a blend of defiance and terror. Robyn leans in closer to him, whispering wildly, but he brushes her off. The prosecutor nods to Janelle. Tell the court what you learned. Janelle inhales deeply. Christine took you through the secret accounts, but what she was unaware of was just how far Kody went to conceal them. He forged my signature, more than once, and he used my name to get loans that I never signed. Hitchiri startles, murmuring among themselves. The judge strikes the gavel for order, but the tension in the room can't be suppressed. This is where the courtroom becomes family drama turned full-fledged scandal. She puts down a folder. In it are papers that have her name on them, but not her writing. The prosecutor holds them aloft for the jury to see. The signature wavers, varies, clearly copied. I only discovered, Janelle goes on, when debt collectors began phoning me, when letters came for houses I'd never even visited. Kody had made me fiscally accountable for agreements he made with Robyn. Kody bangs his hands on the table. That's a lie. You knew? You were always included in this family business. Janelle's voice slices hard, more powerful than before. Business? You're talking about the business of deceit. The business of holding us in bondage while you wired money to Robyn and her children? The jury is on the edge of their seat. Even the judge appears swept up in the whirlwind of tension. And in that moment, you realize this is not only testimony, it's the dismantling of decades of intricately woven deceit. The prosecutor poses the question everyone's been waiting for. Mrs. Brown, why didn't you speak up earlier? Janelle breathes slowly. Because I was scared. Scared to lose the bit of stability that I had left. Scared of what would happen next. And truthfully, scared no one would believe me. He always portrayed me as the reasonable one. The measured one. But reasonable doesn't equate to blind. Reasonable doesn't equal weak. Robyn finally explodes, her voice shaking with tears. Stop it, Janelle. You know that's not true. You're just trying to bring him down because you walked out. But Janelle does not waver. She glares at Robyn with eyes as cold and hard as stone. No, Robyn. I'm trying to speak the truth. Something you've never been able to do. The courtroom explodes once more. Cameras popping, reporters writing in wild haste. It is often the person who has remained silent that possesses the loudest truth. And when it is finally spoken, it rings louder than any shout. Midway through her testimony, Janelle drops another bombshell. She presents an email chain, exchanges between Kody and a private investor. Kody bargains in the emails to sell off some of the Coyote Pass land, but on one condition that only he and Robyn would gain. The prosecutor reads out one line. The others will never know. This will set us free. Just you and me. The jury gasps. Christine's mouth drops open. Meri fidgets uncomfortably, her eyes flicking between Kody and the floor. Kody's face goes pale. He mutters something under his breath. Hands clench so tightly his knuckles turn white. This is the kind of revelation that turns a trial on its head. The kind of evidence that causes jurors to lean to one another, whispering, "This man is guilty." But Janelle is not done. Her voice breaks a little now, feeling seeping through the metal. "I remained faithful for years," she whispers. "I gave him my all. But he didn't just break me. He broke my children. He left us with nothing while constructing a future for just one wife. And that's why I'm here today, to finally be heard." Christine wipes away a tear. Even Meri looks shaken, biting her lip as if fighting back words she's held for too long. The prosecutor steps back, letting her words linger in the silence. The judge nods. "We'll adjourn for the day." But before the jury files out, Janelle turns toward Kody one last time. Her voice is quiet, but it cuts through the noise like a blade. "You constructed your dynasty on falsehoods, and now it begins to disintegrate. When a family dynasty starts to break, It doesn't shatter quietly. It breaks with the sound of truth ringing loud in every corner of the courtroom. The gavel drops. The jurors stand. The courtroom erupts. Kody storms out, his face red with rage, yelling at his lawyers. Robyn holds on to him, crying hysterically. Christine wraps Janelle in a hug, the two women shaking with adrenaline and relief. Meri hangs back, half in shadow, half in light, torn between loyalty and freedom. But the larger question hangs heavy over all of them. What happens when Meri takes the stand? Because if Christine had had betrayal to reveal, and Janelle had had fraud to expose, what Meri is holding could make the trial an all-out war. And when Meri talks, the courtroom will never be the same. The day after, the courthouse is different. News crews cluster around the entrance, news trucks park along the street, and the hum is more intense than ever. But within the courtroom, there's a spooky silence, as if everybody is waiting for their breath. Because now it's Meri Brown's turn. For years Meri was the primary wife, the foundation, the one who saw as the family expanded, fractured and evolved around her. But behind that reserved facade, she held secrets, secrets that might save Kody, or annihilate him entirely. And today, she's finally ready to talk. The bailiff speaks her name. Meri slowly stands up, her steps weighing, her expression inscrutable. She stands over the Bible and raises her hand, swearing in. She sits there, staring at her fingers, for what feels like an eternity. The silence becomes so palpable. The judge clears his throat. Finally Meri looks up, her eyes welling with tears. I didn't want to be here, she starts. But I have to be. Because for too long I stayed silent. And silence made me complicit. The room shifts. Janelle leans forward. Christine's lips press tight. Robyn clutches Kody's arm, as if bracing for impact. Sometimes the quietest voices carry the weight of the darkest truth. The prosecutor nods. Mrs. Brown, can you tell the court what you mean by that? Meri swallows hard. I knew things, I saw things, and I looked the other way. Because I thought if I kept the peace, maybe the family would hold together. But the truth is, the family was already broken. Kody shakes his head violently. Meri, don't do this. You know what's real. You know what we had. Meri fixes him with a steady stare. What we shared ended the day you divorced. The day you signed that document, so you could wed Robyn. That was when I learned that loyalty was nothing to you. Gasps sweep through the courtroom. The jury strains forward. The judge raps his gavel for silence. But the spectacle has already spilled over. What Meri goes on to say doesn't merely create fissures in Kody's narrative. It blows up the entire basis of the Brown family's reputation. She takes out a diminutive black notebook, frayed at the edges, filled with years of scrawled lines. I kept this, she whispers, because I knew someday I might need it. The prosecutor opens it. There are entries dating over a decade. Meri's handwriting accounts for things said, fights, and things to question. In one 2015 entry, she writes, Kody sent money again. Robyn says, don't ask questions. Why do the accounts keep changing? The prosecutor reads out aloud. Mrs. Brown, you recorded your husband's transactions. Yes, Meri continues, because I no longer trusted him. And because whenever I questioned anything, he told me I was paranoid, that I was fantasizing. Christine exhales shakily. Janelle nods deliberately, as if everything falls into place. But Kody is furious. That's personal. Those were our talks. You're distorting everything. The judge cautions him once more to remain quiet. When the past is put into words, it becomes proof, and once spoken, there's no turning back. Meri's voice shakes, but she doesn't relent. He made me sign things I didn't know what they said. He said it was for the sake of the family. But now I realize those things took away my ownership. I lost everything because I trusted him. The prosecutor inquires, do you have copies of those documents? Meri nods and pushes another envelope across the table. There are contracts with her name crossed out of family possession, replaced by Robyn. The jury gasps in shock. Even the judge leans forward, pushing his glasses up. Robyn bursts into sobs. This isn't fair. You don't understand. He did it for me because I needed protection. Christine laughs loudly. Protection or control? The courtroom erupts once more, and the gavel comes crashing down. All families have their secrets, but when they are put into writing and signed away in blood, they are no longer hidden transgression. They are irrefutable evidence. As the testimony continues, Meri exposes more. Evening meetings with lawyers, mysterious withdrawals, and calls she picked up, in which everything was promised to Robyn. Her voice trembles, but each disclosure is like a hammer blow. I stayed hoping things might change. The consus, enforcing Wiener. But every day, I watched him push me further away. And the truth is, I wasn't his wife anymore. I was his cover story. The room erupts into stunned silence. Christine touches Janelle's hand. Robyn shakes her head wildly, mumbling, "No, no, no." As Kody grips the table so tightly his knuckles whiten. The betrayal that hurts most isn't the one you can anticipate. It's the one that happens in public, with nowhere to go and hide. Lastly, the prosecutor poses the question that broods in the air like a thundercloud. "Meri, do you believe Kody Brown knowingly manipulated you and the other wives for his own benefit?" Meri pauses, one tear rolls down her face. Then, with a voice that trembles but does not crack, she responds, "Yes, he did." The words echo in the silent room. The jury stares, the judge nods solemnly, and Kody, he looks shattered. For the first time, his bluster fades, replaced by something else, fear. The judge calls for a recess, his gavel pounding like thunder. The jury files out, their faces etched with disbelief. Kody turns to Robyn, hissing, "She's lying. They're all lying. We'll fix this." But his voice trembles, betraying him. Meri leaves the stand. She does not glance at him. She does not glance at anyone. She simply walks away, her shoulders laden, but her tread firm because here is where the cracks widen into a collapse. Because next, the prosecution produces a witness no one saw coming. Someone beyond the family. Someone whose testimony could come crashing down. The air inside the courtroom feels heavier than before. After Meri's testimony, it seemed impossible that the trial could get any more explosive. But when the bailiff calls the next witness, the crowd gasps in unison. It isn't another wife. It isn't one of the children. It's someone no one expected to see walk through those doors. When an outside party enters the family courtroom battle, the truth is reformed. Because unlike the Browns, this witness is not beholden. They don't bring baggage. They bring receipts. And what they are about to reveal will turn Kody Brown's nightmare into a complete breakdown. The doors open wide. A neatly dressed man strides confidently to the stand. He's identified as a retired financial advisor who used to be associated with the Brown family. The jurors sit forward immediately. Someone who was privy to the family's finances, but wasn't family, is the last thing Kody would have desired. Kody's face pales. He mutters angrily at his attorney. Robyn holds onto his arm, lips quivering, as if she is holding him together. The witness is sworn in and fiddles with the microphone. "I am David Collins. I was employed by Kody Brown in 2016 as a family account manager, assets manager, and land development project manager." The prosecutor inclines his head. "Mr. Collins, tell the jury what you learned in handling these accounts." David clears his throat, calm but serious. "I learned that money intended to be divided among all of the wives was being diverted. Whole sections of revenue from the program Sister Wives, as well as sponsorship agreements, were transferred to accounts held by only Kody and Robyn." The jury mutters. Kody bangs his hand on the table. "That is not right. He is distorting it." But David doesn't blink. He lays open a folder where spreadsheets and bank records are displayed. These records validate the discrepancies. Year in and year out, thousands of dollars were diverted into secret accounts, and it wasn't an oversight. It was intentional. The instant an outsider verifies the family's worst fears, the whole courtroom transforms from theatrics to tragedy. Christine's hand darts to her mouth. Janelle gasps harshly, eyes compressing as if all that she struggled to establish is at last confirmed. Even Meri, who is shaken enough by what she just testified, nods gradually, the fragments all falling into place. The prosecutor inquires, "Did Mr. Brown tell you to hide this information from his wives?" David nods. "Yes, he said to me, they don't need to know everything. They wouldn't understand. And he said the future was with Robyn, and that the others were expendable." Gasps rip through the courtroom. Robyn erupts in tears, violently shaking her head. "No, he never said that. He never said that." But the jury are already murmuring, the damage is done. When a confidential gossip once shared behind closed doors is echoed under oath, it does not merely hurt. It leaves wounds so deep that they can persuade a jury. David continues. He details how Coyote past land transactions were manipulated, how loans were taken out in Janelle's name without her consent, and how Meri was essentially pushed out of ownership entirely. Every piece of information is a dagger, and every dagger pushes Kody further into the corner. The prosecutor inquires, "Mr. Collins, why did you report this now?" David's gaze tightened. "Because I was threatened. I was told that if I ever said anything, I'd regret it. But after witnessing what these women endured, the lying, the manipulation, I could not remain silent." The judge leans forward. "Threatened him by whom?" David hesitates, looks at Kody, and speaks firmly. "By Kody Brown himself." The room breaks out. Reporters write furiously. Cameras pop, and the jurors look aghast. Kody bellows lies. All lies. But his voice breaks, his anger masking his terror. Sometimes the loudest denials are the most truthful confession. As if the air is not tense enough, David produces one last 2x4, an audio tape. The judge permits it to be played. A hoarse but distinct voice echoes throughout the courtroom. "It's Kody." His is a cold, measured tone. "Keep it under your hat, David. They don't need to know. This land is mine and Robyn's. The rest, let them battle over crumbs." The courtroom pauses. Even Robyn seems shocked, her crying stopping as if she's only now listening to the words. Christine closes her eyes. Janelle clutches her chair, and Meri blanks out into space. The jury looks at Kody as if they're seeing him for the very first time. Not as a husband, not as a father, but as a man nakedly revealed by his own words. Evidence is louder than denial. And when a recording of his voice plays, there's no denying the truth. The judge bangs the gavel, demanding order. The courtroom is pandemonium. People yelling, Robyn crying, Kody stammering apologies that ring emptily even to his own ears. Christine whispers to Janelle, "It's over, he's done." But Janelle shakes her head. "Not yet. He's going to fight to the bitter end. He always does." The prosecutor has finished presenting their case for the day, but the atmosphere remains heavy with the weight of David's words, like smoke in the air. The jury files out, their faces white and solemn. The judge adjourns. Kody gets to his feet, his face twisted in anger. He points a shaking finger at David. "You'll pay for this? You think you can ruin me? You think you can strip me of my family?" But David doesn't react. He stacks his papers neatly and exits the stand, his posture straight, his walk even. The most deadly man in the room isn't the one yelling. It's the one who has nothing to lose. Outside, reporters converge. Headlines flash on screens. Secret tapes reveal. Kody Brown. Devoted fans nationwide go ballistic online, sparring, analyzing, and calling for justice. Inside, however, the Browns are broken more than ever. Robyn holds onto Kody, mascara on her cheeks. Christine and Janelle stand, hand in hand, with faces set in grim silence. Meri stands apart, face inscrutable, as if she knows this tempest is nowhere near calmed, because tomorrow, it will be the defense's turn to make their case. And Kody, desperate and trapped, has one last play. And when Kody does finally take the stand, everyone will be able to see just how far a man will go when all of his work is at stake. The courtroom is quiet, but it is the sort of quiet that oppresses the chest. The air is heavy, nearly impossible to breathe, as though the walls have realized this is the end of it all. The members of the jury are tired, spent from weeks of witnesses and tear storms. And then the foreperson stands up, grasping the paper that will break the Brown family's lives for all time. One line might rewrite their existence. One word, guilty or not, might determine their legacy. And for Kody Brown, a man who used to stand so tall as the head of America's most prominent polygamous clan, this is the moment when his whole empire might crumble. The question is, will he survive it, or will the truth kill him? And if you feel like you've had drama from this family in the past, trust me, you haven't seen anything yet. The gavel from the judge thunders down sharply. Order in the court. Robyn trembles in her seat, her hands locked together so tightly her knuckles have whitened. Next to her, Kody's expression alternates between fury and despair. Christine and Janelle share a look, one weighed down with vindication and sadness. Meri sits isolated, staring at the floor, as if she no longer wishes to be a part of this family dysfunction. The foreperson clears her throat. The words reverberate through the courtroom. "We, the jury in the case of Kody Brown." The hesitation drags on forever. Robyn mouths silent prayers. She's praying. Christine leans forward, eyes intense, refusing to blink. Janelle clutches the arm of her seat, bracing herself for what is to come. Find the defendant. Wait until you hear this, because what follows is the most surprising moment of the entire trial. The verdict is pronounced. Gasps win their way through the courtroom. Robyn releases a muffled sob, her frame crumpling into the chair. Christine's face distorts into a mixture of triumph and shock. Janelle gives a sharp breath out, as if she'd been holding it for months. And Kody sits there, simply staring ahead, his mouth agape, nothing coming out. For a man who constructed his existence on being in command of the situation, this is the first time he seems really helpless. But let's rewind just a few hours earlier. Before the verdict, the courtroom was a battlefield. The prosecution's final argument cut deep. They painted Kody as a manipulator, a man who used family, faith, and fame not to uplift, but to control. They replayed key testimony, Christine's fiery declarations, Janelle's calm but devastating honesty, even Meri's reluctant confessions of betrayal. Piece by piece, they built a puzzle that showed Kody as the architect of his own downfall. And then the defense. Robyn was their last witness, her voice shaking as she implored the jury. She talked of love, loyalty, of a man who sacrificed everything for his family. Tears flowed down her cheeks as she asked them to look beyond the villain and see the imperfect man who attempted and failed to keep his family intact. Her voice cracked through the silence and elicited sympathy from certain jurors, suspicion from others. As she fell back into her chair, tension was almost too much to bear. This was no longer about law alone. It was about family, loyalty, and betrayal. Now, as the verdict is revealed, the emotional fallout is explosive. Robyn clutches Kody's arm, whispering frantically, "We'll fight this. We'll fix this." Her mascara runs down her cheeks, her desperation raw and unfiltered. Christine, on the other hand, turns to Janelle and says under her breath, "It's finally over." But her voice carries not just relief, there's also sorrow, because even in victory the scars are permanent. Meri says nothing. Her gaze is still fixed on the ground, her shoulders weighed down. If you look very closely, you might catch a solitary tear making its way down her face. She doesn't revel, doesn't triumph, because at the very core of her, she knows that whatever has been concluded in this courtroom is the end of the family she once believed existed. Kody finally speaks out. His voice is hoarse, shaking. This is not justice. This is betrayal. He glances at Christine and Janelle, and then at Meri, and then at Robyn. You all craved this. You tore us apart. The judge pounds the gavel once more. Order, but it does no good. The courtroom descends into pandemonium. The drama overflows out into the street. Reporters descend upon the courthouse steps. Fans, critics, and former supporters argue in furious debates. Twitter erupts into hashtags, opinions, and live commentary. Footage of Robyn's meltdown and Christine's icy glare circulate like wildfire in just minutes. The Brown family, once a family name because of their eccentric lifestyle, are now etched in history as the cast of a courtroom saga larger than anything TLC could have written. And here's the reality. The jury doesn't just render Kody's verdict. It renders the verdict on the future of all the Brown wives, all the Brown children, and the history of the Sister Wives brand. Because when that gavel came down today, it wasn't about guilt or innocence. It was about the fall of an empire founded on deception. Later that evening, the family breaks apart. Robyn and Kody withdraw into obscurity, their destiny in doubt. Christine and Janelle depart together, shoulder to shoulder, their relationship tighter than ever. Meri slips away unnoticed, a specter fading out of the limelight, at last unencumbered by a name she no longer owned. The world will never again see them sitting on the same couch, acting like they're one family. That fantasy has been ruined forever. But what the world did see, the deceptions, the realities, the heartbreak will ring for years to come. And as the credits roll on this chapter of the Brown saga, one eerie question lingers. Was justice really served? Or was it merely another act in a family that has always performed under the glare of the spotlight? For sometimes the true drama doesn't end in the courtroom. It starts there. And then the question that everyone's wondering, what becomes of Kody Brown and his family afterward? The answer may surprise you more than the verdict itself.